Aloha and good morning. We made it to another Friday. Wanted to quickly update you on several things. So, first of all, with regard to Center Grove and our COVID situation, the numbers are starting to go up a little bit, and that's definitely something that we want to keep an eye on. And one of the things I've been talking with students about is the amount of sleep that we get. So sleep is kind of like my superpower. I make that a real priority. And as a data nerd and biohacker, I monitor that using my little Aura ring right here, and it's something that I'm really committed to. I feel like getting a good amount of sleep really uh, boosts my own personal learning and focus. It helps with, recovery from my runs. And probably most important, it helps keeps my appetite in check because I know when I get tired, I start making poor food choices and so on. And, the lack of good sleep and the consequences of poor sleep, I see it as kind of an epidemic among my students. And, some of the things that I see in them are, abrupt mood changes and lack of focus, depression. Um, and those kinds of things, which I know are typical within middle school students anyway, but they definitely seem to be getting to be more and more of a problem. And so I've tended to talk with my students a lot about things they can do in order to improve their own um, sleep. And so some of the things I've talked about with them is number one, probably to set up a good schedule. A lot of times I will hear them talking about staying up late at night and playing video games, and so they're in front of a screen, which is also bad. And so trying to set up a really good schedule, that idea of trying to catch up on sleep on weekends really doesn't work. And so, getting a schedule, avoiding screens, making sure that their bedroom is kind of a dark and quiet place really helps a lot. And, getting outside and doing some exercise. One of my favorite things to do is to go for a run after school, or if I'm tired, I might just do a walk after school. And just being outside, I don't listen to music or things like that. I'm very mindful when I'm walking or running. Um, and that helps also being aware of your environment and just kind of getting me centered again is I find really really helpful. And so those are some of the things I'm sharing with students um, in class this week. As far as like where we're at uh, with things, in science, we're moving from talking about atoms to talking about ions and ionic bonding. Next week, we're going to go into covalent bonding. And this is where the real fun begins, when we start talking about chemical bonding and chemical reactions. Let me go ahead and first apologize if some of the labs that we do in class might lead to some exploration at home. One of the labs that we do involves mixing vinegar and baking soda, which are common things that kids can find at home. And a lot of times they will, try to repeat some of these labs that we do in class at home. I can assure you the what is being produced there is, carbon dioxide, water, some sodium acetate, but it's not anything that's going to be harmful. It definitely creates a fun reaction. And then in biology this week, definitely want to highlight some of the great work these kids are doing. As I mentioned, we took the cell respiration and photosynthesis test this week, and the kids just knocked it out of the park. They definitely are spending a lot of time studying at home, because it just amazes me when I teach this class that, a lot of these things that we're going over were things that I didn't do until I was in college. Now, albeit that was the 80s, and so that was, going on 30 years ago now. But they definitely should be proud of themselves as far as the work that they put into that. That was just awesome. And we're now talking about DNA, and we'll probably do some on DNA replication before Thanksgiving break. When we come back from Thanksgiving break, that's where the real heavy lifting begins, when we start looking into protein synthesis and mutations and so on. So that's kind of where we're at. As always, thank you so much for what you do as parents and caregivers. One of the things that I love about the Center Grove community is the passion and dedication that I can benefit from having those, parents and caregivers who obviously are committed to the education of, their children. And so, thank you for that. If you have, comments, concerns, or questions, please just, contact me by putting a post on, or a comment on this post. Remember, only I can see that. Another great way to just kind of show your appreciation is just click appreciate on this post. That simple act really does help me know that you value these weekly updates, and I definitely appreciate that. So thank you again. Have a great week.